I'm Janet Morena, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to Just Ask Janet. Well, I've been in the pro-life movement for quite a few years. This past year when I went to the March for Life, that was my 32nd March in a row. Didn't miss one. And, I have to tell you about the early days in the pro-life movement. We were so well-intentioned, but we didn't have a lot of resources. Back in those days, I can remember typing at a typewriter, nice little 8 by 11 pieces of paper, and bringing it to a copy place and having them run them off. And those became our first flyers. We used to call that like kitchen table because we were just starting out and getting going. But the movement has advanced so much. And joining me today, to me, is one of the top numero uno groups that produce the best, clearest, crispest, most like eye-catching, great messaging literature in the pro-life movement. So joining me today is their executive director, Joe Langfeld. Joe, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Janet. It's great to be with you in person.
Exactly. Hallelujah. So like I was alluding to the fact, in the early days of the movement, we were doing our best to kind of get the messaging out somehow. But it's come a long way, hasn't it? I mean,
yeah,
and Human Life Alliance, you guys have been at the number one of, I would say, some of the best literature, the most, eye-provoking with the way they're laid out. So tell us about your history with Human Life Alliance.
Well, quickly, if we can. I mean, our roots date back to before Roe into the 60s, so it's kind of hard to go all the way back. But in 1990, a copywriter in California had this great idea that we could take a piece we were using to advertise in the big city newspapers and use it on college campuses.
Wow.
Which kind of opened up a whole other world. It made a lot of sense because it's the number one age group of young women having abortions.
That's right.
So it was a mission field worth going at. And they created what they called She's a Child, Not a Choice,
right.
advertising insert. And that's kind of mushroomed into many different printed projects. And of course, during COVID and over the years, digital online products.
I remember She's a Child, Not a Choice. And exactly, Father Pavone, he, when he was ordained in 1988 by Cardinal O'Connor, came to my parish. And that was one of the very first things we ordered for our parish was the She's a Child, Not a Choice to have in our literature rack. So it goes way back.
Yeah, and the stories from then are the same as the stories from today, like with the young people. And now we have some pieces that are developed just for high school and college kids. They look a little different. They don't have a baby on the cover because the pro-choice kids, they look at it and they say, I don't want to read your pro-life literature. So we're looking to beat around them. But I met people when I was in college, before I even know who Human Life Alliance was, carrying around a copy of She's a Child, Not a Choice in case they had to debate. And it's the same is true today. It's a miracle that something as simple as a piece of paper can touch somebody's heart.
That's right. Well, because it was always, as I remember, chock full of facts. I mean, that's why we ordered it for the parish literature rack. I mean, what people took that home and read it, they were really educated on the abortion issue. They really were. And you guys used to have, and you do today, statistics, facts, pictures. I mean, it was a great thing. She's a Child, Not a Choice. And then, so that one went on for about how long till we started to morph into like the newer things?
Well, it still exists today, but it's different. Most things are in magazine form. The size that we print in magazine form are the number one shape and size that people want to keep and hold.
I see.
So the old advertising supplements are great, but they don't work well on a sidewalk counseling situation where you'd be open up this big newspaper. It'd be blowing around in the wind. So
I remember it.
Everything is different now. We try to be smarter, and as you grow and you learn, we can take other steps. So that's what we.
So show us one of your premier pieces now that you have.
Well, I'll show you what's hot right now. What's been hot during COVID is the sidewalk counseling materials.
Really?
Yep. So we call it the street magazine because it's intended to be used on the street, but this is not your only choice. So much smaller.
Yeah, this is really sleek because, when you think about it, the woman's going into an abortion clinic and you just have to stand here and hold this and hope she'll take it from you. Right?
Yeah. And the sidewalk counselors have a minute to get their attention.
Well, yeah, sometimes even 30 seconds because, I mean, look at this first word here, scared. I know from the testimonies of women from Silent No More, scared really describes how they're feeling when they're walking into that abortion clinic. So, when she first opens this and sees the word scared, but this says don't give up hope. well, now she's identifying right away with, oh, what does this have to say? It kind of draws her, right? I mean, it draws her into it.
We sure hope. That's the intent.
But
and,
it does.
And it does work. It's been, so this edition has been around for a while now, and it's, you're going to be the first one to see this. So on your show is the debut of the newest version of This Is Not Your Only Choice, the Street magazine.
Oh, wow. Look at this one.
Yeah. So a lot of the same information, of course, the stats and the facts get
yeah,
updated because that's what you need to do. But the tone is a little different in terms of color and style.
Right.
So one of the things we do with our pieces for high school and college kids is we update them every single year so they can be used in a new academic year. But that doesn't mean the information changes a lot, but the approach and what the kids want to see changes.
Yeah. I love this page here. I can hold this, the camera can see it. This shows the development of the baby. And it says what your baby looks like. Because at that point, you know, they've all taken that over-the-counter pregnancy test, most of them. They come into the abortion clinic. They know when was their last period. So they have a rough idea about how pregnant they are, right, at that point. And so now here, this shows them, from 1 to 4 weeks. Oh, that's what my baby looks like. Oh, my gosh, 5 to 8 weeks. Look at that one. Oh, my goodness. Because, see, this dispels the myth of the blob of tissue, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah, I mean, they're seeing these pictures and hopefully they're sitting in the waiting room saying, maybe I better not do this, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's different about Human Life Alliance's work. We've always tried to use real images of the child in the womb.
Right.
So they could see, if it's hand-drawn, well, that's just what you think it looks like. No, here's fact.
Yeah.
Here's proof.
Well, that's what kids always say. Fact check, just the facts. That's what they want. But now I'm curious, though, Joe, with this first one, this was the first one, right?
Yep.
That you said sidewalk counselors are using. What's been what's the feedback from the sidewalk counselors on this piece?
It's incredible. It's
Really?
it is incredible. It's beyond belief. We have one young lady, you know her, Lauren. She's been using this for a number of years now, and she's saved over 700 babies.
With this piece of paper.
Yeah.
Oh,
with
my
a
goodness.
simple piece of paper.
Wow.
That's crazy. So we know it's not the paper, it's the Holy Spirit, right?
Of course.
That's really what's going on
it's
here.
The facts inside of here, of course, you know. So 700 babies, one sidewalk counselor, right?
But we have sidewalk counselors across the country that call us and say, we saved 2 babies this week. I saved 3 babies this week. We had a guy down in San Antonio, Texas that has 2 or 3 saves every single week with this material.
That's amazing. So if someone maybe we're hopefully interesting you, brothers and sisters, this brochure, it could save a life today. So where, how do they get this brochure?
Well, they can go to humanlife.org and they can request it right online. And there's a secret online to connecting with our material. If you go to the publications and try to order them, it'll show a suggested donation of 50 cents a piece. And that's the whole overhead, the building, the staff, and the printing and the shipping and all kinds of things. But there's only one other option. You can toggle down to 0. So there is no cost to use these pieces. We love donations, just like every nonprofit organization does, but we'd rather get them out into the community.
So basically what you're saying is if a sidewalk counselor or someone who like 40 Days for Life is underway, you know, just about, it's almost Lent, and that will be going. So if you're going to be praying outside of an abortion clinic and you don't know what to say to a woman and you're out there praying, you could at least hand this life-saving piece to them. And like you're saying, Joe, you will send it to them free of charge. Of course, if they could send a few dollars to help defray the cost of the printing and the postage and shipping, that would be fantastic. But this is amazing. This is not your only choice. I love this. And I like this new one too. The new design here. It's really terrific. I mean, now, curious question. Are these available in Spanish?
Yep. So that's the next one on the pile here. This one's in
that.
Spanish. So this is in between these 2 pieces and translated with help by Astrid Bennett Gutierrez and HLI. You know, so good pro-life partners, and actually the translation started in Spain when we printed an edition for them to use.
And you know, this is so important because, as we know, with the border problem down south, and they're coming over the borders, and they're coming over the borders pregnant, and they're being taken to abortion clinics, and a lot of those people do not speak English, and so this piece is really, really vital, isn't it?
It is, and it just like everything else, we want to reach them where they're at. So if you have a 3rd or 4th generation Hispanic family that's immigrated in, those kids probably don't read Spanish.
No,
they might speak Spanish, but they've
Right.
been in Anglo schools. So it's kind of interesting how the sidewalk counselors deal with that. And then we make some ancillary materials for them too. Because there's so many important things to say to a young woman outside of a sidewalk counseling center,
Mhm.
we make these fact cards that fit in. So it just says one little piece that sticks above to call her attention to something. So this one is, the doctor said, for when a young woman comes by and says, my doctor said I have to have an abortion. So we debunk that really quick on a card.
Oh, wait. So hold on. It says the doctor said I should have an abortion. The doctor said I should have an abortion. This pregnancy is a risk to my health. So now you tell all the reasons why that's not a reason to have an abortion because of your health. And then it says my baby is not developing properly. And again, this is often misdiagnosed or exaggerated. Yeah.
Well, remember the New York Times article just a couple of weeks ago
Right.
that said, was it over 90% of those?
85% of
those,
these prenatal diagnostic tests are wrong.
Yeah.
Are wrong. So, I mean, yeah. So this is great. The doctor said I should have an abortion. No, maybe that's not the fact. In fact, I've had some of our medical advisors on these programs, and they have said there's really never a reason why a doctor has to medically say you have to have an abortion. Okay. And I actually wrote about that in my book, Recall Abortion, because no matter what the reason is, like say it's the life of the mother reason, there's no reason to pit her against her child. These great doctors, the pro-life doctors, they will say, no, you bring her as far along in that pregnancy as you can, and then you deliver the child and do everything to save the child.
Yeah.
But you don't do an abortion, which is traumatic for the mother, gives her the guilt, and then it's torturous for the baby, you know? So,
and it's horrible medicine, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the other side says this is a decision that should be made between a woman and her doctor. When a woman goes to see an abortionist, that is never her doctor.
That's
it's
right.
somebody that's in and out. They don't know her situation.
They don't even know the doctor's name. And I can
Right.
tell you that by the testimonies of the women from Silent No More. They don't see the doctor ahead of time. When they're in the procedure room and on the table, in comes the doctor and he does the procedure and leaves, never even says one word to them. So this is not about medicine. This is about selling an abortion. It really is.
The money.
The money.
The money.
Exactly. So what's the next one?
So in Spanish, of course, so same kind of thing here.
The doctor said,
Pieces that highlight
doctor
the
dijo.
Pieces that highlight the abortion pill reversal process.
Now that's so important.
It's in the magazine, but that's used not only when the women are going in, but also if they come out and they're carrying a little bag, or if they haven't been in there long enough to actually get an abortion, we know they took that pill and now they've got limited hours to make a difference.
That's right. Yeah, because what happens is, so for those who don't know what we're talking about RU486, also called the chemical abortion, the medical abortion. You pick the title. And what the abortion clinic does is she gets the first dose in the abortion clinic and she goes out with a little brown paper bag. And within 24 to 48 hours, she has to take the second dose at home. And so what this brochure does is it tells them that there could be a way, if you've changed your mind, to still save your baby with the abortion pill reversal. And in fact, Dr. Matt Harrison, who's our medical board of advisors, he was the first person to do a reversal. And then he's then worked with Dr. Delgado and other doctors, and they've written a whole protocol. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of babies have been saved because of this abortion pill reversal. So this is a great piece to have so that they can get the help they need. Because I see you have the website, abortionpillreversal.com.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
The pro-life movement, we have to
work together,
share resources,
That's
work
right.
together, and we don't want to duplicate either.
No.
We're not doctors,
Right.
we're not lawyers, so we don't want to, we don't want to pretend. In the old days, remember, sometimes people would come and say, we can help you with that, and the other side would hear us presenting ourselves as something different than we are. So we want to present ourselves who we are. There are doctors, there are nurses. It's really simple to do this progesterone procedure, which is a pill or a cream. It's easy.
Right.
But we want the doctors to do that. That's not my job.
Exactly. And they're finding more and more doctors all over the country that are doing the reversal now, which is fabulous. Really is good news. All right. So what's our next one?
Well, we have a card just for the men. As a man, your viewpoint matters. And it's oftentimes those guys let the gal go in, and then they're kind of standing outside there. And the male sidewalk counselors in particular will go up to them and say, hey, are you okay with this?
Yeah.
So what the sidewalk counseling piece is. So that's just a piece for them.
Let me see the guy thing here. It says, as a man, your viewpoint matters. I say, do you feel like it's just her choice? After abortion, it isn't just over, and we know that abortion messes with her. My body's future. Yeah, I mean that's very good because I think with the guys, there's those guys who obviously want her to have the abortion. Then there's guys who are ambivalent, and then the guys who really don't want her to have the abortion. So there's a real mixed bag of these dads, and that's what I like to call them. You're a dad.
They're dads.
This is your baby too.
Yes.
And that baby's about to be killed. And where are you? Man up, get in there and fight for your child and save your baby, because chances are she's going to break up with you anyway, because she's going to be so traumatized by that abortion. She's not going to like you anymore because of what you did. But this is a great brochure, really. I mean, I don't think there's very many people who even have anything to hand a guy. So that's really wonderful.
Yeah, and we typically do at HLA, we do comprehensive pro-life information. So to do something as small as a 4x9 little fact card or rack card here, which these are great in the back of churches too, in the little racks.
Yeah, I was just about to say that this is a literature rack.
That's what they're made for, that size.
Yeah, so it's easy to hand the person in front of an abortion clinic. It's good for a church rack. And why not in a school too, in an information rack? I mean, I don't see why they can't be in a school too, especially high schools and colleges.
So that's one of our biggest problems. You mentioned that these young men who take their gal to the abortion center, many of them are not okay with it. They want to save their baby, right? So, but the reality is young people today, they don't know the truth. They don't know the facts about abortion. They don't know how the child grows in the womb. I don't know how you get into college without basic biology.
I know.
I had to know that stuff. I mean, have we dumbed things down that much? But they don't know. They just have hollow rhetoric. And even when kids use our materials on campus, the Pro-Life Club, somebody will come up to them and say, you can't hand this out on campus because women have to have abortions, and they'll be flustered. And the kids will just say, used to be they were worried about having an argument, but the kids will just say, why? It's a woman's right. It's a woman's right to choose. And they'll throw that kind of hollow rhetoric out there. Yeah. The pro-life kids will say why, and that's it. The conversation stops there, and the kids will open up one of those magazines and say, did you see this story about this woman? Did you see what the child in the womb looks like? Did you see the consequences to a woman who has an abortion?
Right. Yeah.
The other side has hollow rhetoric, and they don't know, and they've been teaching our kids for generations now. So the kids know nothing as well.
Well, I think that's what it is, Joe, because they've listened to all that thing. It's her body, her choice, that mantra over and over and over again. That and choice, choice. The word choice sounds real good, but choice is okay when you want to pick out your breakfast cereal, what flavor ice cream you like. Yeah, do you like the smooth peanut butter or crunchy or jelly or strawberry jam? I mean, on your P&J, but no, killing of a baby is not a choice. That should not be a choice, and so I think the problem is the rhetoric has gotten so messed up that these kids somehow think it's no big deal with that. It's good for women. It's good for women. When you think about, when you debate this issue, people will say, well, I wouldn't want anyone in my family to have an abortion. I wouldn't want to see my sister or my aunt or my cousin have an abortion. But they stop there and they go, but women need to have access to abortion if they want it. Like not my family, but if they want it, we need to keep it legal. And they don't realize, like, why would you say that about anything else? Why would you say that? Like, it's okay if my neighbor wants to abuse their child. Well, why should I interfere with that? It's okay. Let them abuse their child, because after all, that's none of my business. It's all about this. That's none of my business. That's their choice. Let them do what they want, right? But certain choices and rights stop when someone else's rights are taken away, which is the life of the baby, right?
Absolutely. And you can take it one step farther. Most of our information is very secular in focus because we know the audience we're trying to reach, students on a college campus. They all think they're secular. They all think they're atheists. But the reality is by not telling them truth, that means we as Christians, we as Catholics are saying, we don't love you enough to have you look at this truth to make a decision that will have eternal consequences. So I fail as a Christian brother if I can't present the truth.
Right. So now what's this next one? It says the first 8 weeks.
Oh, just another little fact card, but it's the first 8 weeks in much more detail. So
Uh-huh.
we'll have one picture
Let
per
me
month
see.
in our publication.
Uh-huh.
But here we can go from the blastocyst to showing the clumps of cells, because that
Mhm.
is, we do start with cell division
Right.
and all the way through the different weeks. And, thankfully, some really good friends have had some great photos taken in the last couple of years that expose more of the development of the
Of the
child in the
child.
womb.
Sure they do. Absolutely. Look at that. Look at these pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's undeniable. This is not a clump of cells.
And pretty
You know?
quickly.
Yes, very quickly. It goes right to where you can see arms and legs and all that. And see, that's the trauma of the chemical abortion right there. That she's seeing her baby. Oh my gosh. I can tell you from our testimonies, it can go to abortiontestimony.com and check off RU46, read those testimonies. Oh my goodness. It's so sad. I saw fingers and toes. I got scared. I was frightened. Oh my gosh, that's my baby.
I held my baby in my hand, my dead baby in
My
my
dead
hand.
baby. Yeah.
And the baby was this big.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very traumatizing. So I think these cards could be life changing and life saving all at the same time. And this too. What's great about this is when you think about even in a high school, why aren't biology teachers ordering these, right?
Well,
In high school.
that one's pretty new, so that's why they're not. They haven't
Ah.
seen them yet. But
Oh,
yeah.
okay. We have to get them out there. No, because this like just is such a great educational piece. It really, really is, because there's no doubt in your mind this is a baby. It's not a clump of cells that you're aborting and getting rid of. Really.
But we'd recommend all your viewers, they can request these. We'd be happy to share with them. Last year, the largest amount we set out without a donation and return to one group was 84,000 pieces.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, we print in large volume for our comprehensive materials. And one of the things that's really important for the pro-life movement is to read these kind of materials so that we have information, so that when people ask us questions, we can present that truth.
That's right. And like I always say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? I mean, these pictures are beautiful, clear, crisp color, no doubt about it. So what's that next piece?
Well, it's the truth about Planned Parenthood. So it's 16 pages on written all by pro-life leaders from many different organizations, sharing with us what Planned Parenthood does. So if you're a pro-lifer and you think you're going to go to 40 Days for Life, most of us that participate in 40 Days for Life silently pray.
Right.
We're a public witness. But some might be asked to step it up a level and join the sidewalk counseling team. So you need to know what's going on with these centers, the business and the violations to life that they do. So it's a great piece for that.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is too, Joe. So many people, I know I've been out in front of many abortion clinics all over the country. And a lot of people think Planned Parenthood is such a great place. They'll say, oh, people go there to get their child care. People go there to get shots for their kids. Because I've seen this where in some Planned Parenthoods, there's like within the same building, there's a clinic here on this door, and then this door is the abortion clinic. So they somehow get fooled thinking, oh, it's a good place. It's a good place. Because after all, they're helping you plan parenthood. No, they're helping you unplanned parenthood, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what they're really doing.
They put the young women on the pills. They give the young guys condoms. They tell them to go out there and use the most risky behaviors to try not to get abortions, so they can turn them into an abortion customer.
Yeah.
That's what their model is.
That's
it's simple.
Right. Well, and that's the cash cow for Planned Parenthood is abortion. I mean, that's their number one business. That's what they're selling. And the amount of between the corporate donations and the government money they're getting, it's just horrible, isn't it? That's terrible. So what's the final piece we have here?
A couple pieces quickly.
A couple more.
This is Do I Matter? So this is this year's academic year's piece for high school and college kids. So they never look pro-life on the outside.
Okay.
It's got the development of the child in the womb, stories of women who regret their abortion. Thanks to you all at Silent No More. We're grateful that you share them with us. Women that are grateful that they had their child and kept their child, or adoption, or all those options there. So we put all those in there. We talked about that before. This is just for girls, just for guys. We like this one. It's our Flip magazine. But this is the teen sexual risk avoidance piece, or abstinence piece. So again, all these very usable for church youth groups.
Yeah, those are fantastic, really.
Some people take these and they leaflet the homes around the Planned Parenthoods.
Oh, so make them aware of what this business is.
Some groups have mailed apartment complexes within the area.
Look at
Yeah.
that. Oh,
But
and there's my original
Here,
piece.
here's a
Here's a
closest to the original She's a Child, Not a Choice in
Right.
magazine format, but great for general audiences and churches if you want to share with your brothers
I
and
mean,
sisters.
this just takes me back because the other one, like you said, would be much bigger.
Much
But
bigger.
this is nicer, sleeker, nicer pictures than
Well,
back then.
You know what's really sad is we call this in the printing industry enameled paper. Everybody else calls it glossy. We
Right.
print on very light paper because
Right.
we know they're just going to go around.
Right. I love this one. This one here, brothers and sisters, a better choice. It shows here Planned Parenthood and the Pregnancy Center. The better
Yeah.
choice is the Pregnancy Help Center that's providing real choice to women and help that they need. And people should realize that at a Pregnancy Help Center, no matter what her need is, does she need medical bills taken care of? She needs to get a pro-life doctor, a place to stay if she needs, job opportunities. They'll help her even after she has the baby, get back in school. I mean, it's amazing the work that's done by the pregnancy centers. And what does Planned Parenthood do? Once they sell you that abortion, you don't even see that go back there for any follow-up care.
Right.
Like, since when do you have a medical procedure and you don't go back for follow-up care, right?
When your doctor has no ability to have admissions into a hospital,
Right.
or if there are problems, you have to go to the emergency room, and the young woman then never tells them, well, I had an abortion.
Right.
And so her life is at risk
That's right.
because
That's
of the
right.
dark secrets around abortion.
So what would you say is the number every year combined of literature that you guys ship out? About how much literature?
Well, it changes, and it's
All right.
really changing now, but millions of pieces.
Millions of pieces.
Readership, since we started printing in 1990, is 235 million,
Wow.
88 different countries.
Really?
Yeah, all 50 states. I like to tell our friends at Human Life International that if they were really international, they would have had done work in Antarctica, where we've had our
ship your
materials.
stuff internationally?
Ship or print in countries, depending upon
Oh,
what
so
their
you
needs
could
are.
give them the files and they could print it in their country.
Well, but
too.
oftentimes we'll modify the whole piece to fit the country. The last piece I did for Nigeria and Uganda, they got separate articles for a couple pages, and we swapped them out so that they could do it. Same with in South America too.
Wow, that's amazing. Absolutely
It's
amazing.
easy. Sometimes there's language barriers, and we're
Right.
looking for help there.
Finally, real quick, tell us the website again.
Humanlife.org.
Humanlife.org.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, this is amazing. And I want to thank you, and may God continue to bless Human Life Alliance and keep those ideas percolating because they're fabulous.
Thank you. We're grateful for the leadership of Priests for Life too. You help us all do our work.
That's right.
a wonderful
Together we
thing.
do. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope you take advantage of some of these fantastic resources. You've got to get to their website today and order those brochures, because guess what? There are some abortions only you can stop, and some lives only you can save. Join us again next on Just Ask Janet. Thanks.
I will be